Hey everybody, welcome. We have something to say. Sorry about the lateness, but for some reason our streaming service was acting up and we couldn't get our faces on the screen, so we had to literally go out and come back in. Thanks for joining us, and uh, we got it's a whole bunch to talk about. I don't want to let Kendra start it because it's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start. So,
Oh no, dude, that's on you.
um, we have entered an era. I'm gonna start off here. An era of intimidation, whereas this current administration and different Republicans administration across the country have decided they're going to intimidate people into their way of thinking. Um, I think what comes, the reason I say this is because, of course, I wake up this morning to Greg Abbott threatening to withhold funding for Children's Hospital in Dallas because of a post that a doctor made about telling illegal immigrants, you don't not legally obligated to say anything about your status. You just don't have to say anything. And so he threatened the whole hospital with state funding, withholding state funding or federal funding that comes to that hospital. And the federal funding, you got to remember, goes through the state and then they just disperse it. Then you look at everybody in the all the administration nominees for a cabinet post have literally decided they're going to use intimidation to get people not to speak out on their actions or to what's the word? Give a chilling effect that they may come after you, which is something that we on this show talked about for 6 months. That it's not
Actually,
the top.
longer than that.
Yeah, not the top that you have to worry about. It's the people up under the top, people who want to prove themselves to say I'm loyal sycophants to this person and how awful they can be. And then you top that off with, I don't know if you all, because typically I'll get up in the morning, and of course I'm addicted to my phone like everybody else. And, the New York Times breaks a story this morning about an email that Pete Hegseth's mother sent during his second divorce. And it is a scathing email, just talking about his mother saying, you're just a horrible person. And how could you do your first wife the way you did her, and your second wife the way you did her, and then you did your first wife like this. And now she's trying to recant it, saying she didn't mean it. But man, if you see the email, it's scathing. And that
don't make a difference.
It's not.
It doesn't make a difference.
I don't think Pete Hegseth is going to be confirmed. I personally don't. I don't think that Murkowski, Collins.
First of all, the two of them don't have no backbone. They always do this every time.
Murkowski does.
Trump says something, put somebody up they don't like. Oh no, and then they end up voting for him. That's how they got. They did the same thing with Kavanaugh.
So you think? So you believe? So what you're saying is you believe that Joni Ernst, a female officer in the military, retired female officer, who had to go through all that bullshit she had to go through, is going to vote to confirm. I disagree with you on that. And she's not even up.
The reason why I said well, let's say this: they may be, if the vote comes up, they'll vote for him. Now, whether or not they put pressure on him to drop out or have the Trump drop his name is another story. Now, I think they might do that, but when it comes time for an actual vote, no, they're gonna vote for him. They're gonna vote for him because they ain't got no heart. They ain't got no backbone, man. None of them do. They got none. They talk all that shit before confirmation, and then when it comes time to vote, they won't do it. Mitch McConnell did the same thing about the January 6th thing. Talking about how this was all Trump's fault, blah, 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 all that stuff. When it came down to a vote, boom, that fool didn't do anything. They've had their chances to stand up to him, and they never take them. They They just talk shit just to say, well, I was against it to begin with. When the rubber meets the road, they always vote in his favor. Always. They can talk all the shit they want. But when it comes down to it, because they want to keep their punk ass in power. That's all it is. They want to keep that punk ass salary they got, and they want to stay in power because of all the perks. That's it. They have no integrity at all. None. Zero. Zilch. Negative. You know I'm right. You know I'm right.
You won't let me say anything. First you said you didn't have shit to say, then I bring it up. I will say this. I think that you are right in that their past actions have said they won't show. I don't believe that about Lisa Murkowski. I think she puts on a lot of pressure. And I also think that you have to look at the election map. Joni Ernst just got elected. She's going to be there long past the. She's not up for re-election until what, 2028, which means he's coming out of office right around that time. He's going to be pretty much a lame duck president in 2 years.
He's actually a lame duck president now, really. To be quite honest. Well,
Kenneth, hold up. Marion, I sent you an invitation, so you don't have to keep commenting and writing. You could bring your ass on the show.
But no, saying in response to what you said, technically he's already a lame duck. The only thing is, he's a lame duck that's still in control of all three parts of the government, all three branches of government. But he's technically a lame duck. This is like
he's not in control of all three parts of the government. He did not.
Really?
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. The Mitch McConnell wing won the Senate because his boy didn't win. John
they
Thune
still ain't going. Yeah, they still not going. It don't make a difference. They still not going to do anything. Even though that Mitch McConnell wing, they talk all that shit, but when it comes down to it, man, they still vote in favor of all of his policies. They do. I don't care. I don't care what they say. When it comes down to it, they always vote in favor of his policies. So they could be the Mitch McConnell wing, the MAGA wing. It's still the same bird, and they all vote in his favor. Otherwise, he wouldn't even been reelected. You know, when January 6th happened, all of them was scared. You know, they on TV making speeches talking about this was wrong, blah, 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 and all that. And they had a chance to do something about it, and they chose not to. And now we're paying for it.
Let's hope you're wrong. let's hope you're wrong. Let's hope that Joni Ernst. Let's hope that Joni Ernst says to herself. Let's hope that Joni Ernst says to herself, if I let this man become Secretary of Defense, it is hundreds of thousands of women and thousands of female officers that are going to be at risk. And do I want? Wait. Do I want a predator, a female predator, who is shown as what's the commentator for the Bulwark, Tim Miller said, if you just take out his military experiences and just go based on his life successes, he has had a failure of a life. Like Tim Miller said, like if you put somebody in office at the top of and you're a former soldier, so you should know that. You know this better than I know this, which is always why I defer to you. If you put somebody like him at the top of the Defense Department, somebody who preys on women, as Tim Miller said, look, think about when this alleged sexual assault happened, and he broke it down. He said he was at a convention, going through a divorce. His mistress was pregnant, and he was screaming in the lobby, and he took a lady up that he said was consensual sex to his room. She says it was assault. He did all that while he was in the midst of a divorce, and his mistress is pregnant. So even if you don't agree, even if you think anything about his experience, his life, and if they put him up there if they put him up there, which you think they're going to do, I don't know how that affects the morale of the armed forces. You tell me. Does that give license to all the other
The
officers?
president is a sexual predator.
That's not what I asked you.
The president is a sexual predator.
But yeah, he is.
Trump is a sexual predator, and he's the commander in chief. So how do you think that's? What do you think that? Well, the way I see it is like this.
Shoot.
How can I phrase this? They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. The people who are in the military women who are in the military have dealt with misogyny, sexual assaults, all this stuff going back decades, going all the way back to when they start when they first allowed women into the military back in, I think it's World War II. I don't think they had it in World War I, but World War II, when they had what's it called? Not was it waifs? I think it was called. But I'm sure they had stuff like that going on back then too. They've had to deal with all this time. Go
ahead.
I can't. And it was women something. I can't remember what it was called. I want to say wax, I think, but I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly what it was. But anyway, I can't remember what. I know it starts with a W because it's just women. But the thing is, the women, they've had to deal with this before. This is nothing new. Just like black people, they've had to deal with this before. They're not going to drop his nomination simply because he's accused of sexual assault. When the president-elect, Donald Trump, the head of the ticket, the guy that's coming into office, has been accused and proven to have done that. Said in his own words that he's a sexual predator. And he still got elected twice. And we've known that. They don't care about stuff like that, man. Lisa Murkowski, Joni Ernst, Susan Collins, they're going to fall in line like they always do, man. I have no respect for them. I have I am under no illusion that they're going to somehow all of a sudden have a heart or have a backbone. None whatsoever.
Why?
And the rest of the punk ass MAGA support and the rest of the Republicans in the House and the Senate going to fall in line too. They're going to do the same thing, man.
Well, what makes you?
They're going to do anything that he wants, anybody that he wants. The only reason why they couldn't get what's his name, Matt Gaetz in there, Matt Gaetz in there, because they had the House Ethics Committee had a whole bunch of dirt on him, a whole bunch of dirt that they uncovered, a lot of dirt. And the Senate, those people in the Senate, those were men who's like, no, hell no. We can't have this fool being attorney general. We can't do that. But the other guy, he's nothing. His accusations and all the personal troubles that he's had and all that stuff is nothing compared to what Trump has done and what Gates was accused of. He's a lightweight. They're gonna confirm it, man. Let's say this, if they unless they're putting pressure on him behind the scenes, behind the scenes to not get him, but he already gave up one person. I don't think he's gonna give up two. And I can guarantee you, the person that they actually pick, and even Ola, and the other part of it too, is something else that they said, and I forgot about this. He was like, they're going to confirm it. I'm just going to do a recess appointment. And the person could be basically a substitute teacher for his whole administration. They can actually do that. So for them they can actually do it and get away with it. Nothing they can do about it. It's a recess appointment. You know, something, you just made me think about something too. somebody said that I can't remember who I was talking to. I think it was yesterday, my cousin yesterday. He was saying the Biden administration whack. Yeah, it was whack. That's what it was. So it was right. It was whack. The Biden administration is considering putting Merrick Garland up to be a judge. Why? He was already a federal judge. Matter of fact, I think he was an appeals court judge before Obama tried to put him up for Supreme Court. Why are we putting him back in to be a judge? What purpose is being served by that? None. No purpose is being served. At this point, this is all symbolism at this point. It's all symbolism. Because any judge that they put up, whether it's a federal judge or appeals court judge, anytime that they feel like they can, anything when the judge rules against them in a case or whatever, they lose a case, it's going to end up at the Supreme Court. Any case that they come up with, they're going to appeal it to the Supreme Court, and 9 times out of 10, them punk ass people in the Supreme Court going to approve that shit. It's going to run down like it always does down. What do they call that? Ideological lines. It's the same thing, man. Nothing gonna change. Nothing's gonna change. You got when I say he has all 3 branches of the government, he literally has all 3 branches of government. Now, I will say this, and I've said this before. I don't think he excuse me. I don't think he's gonna complete a whole term. I'm 99% sure. Shoot, might as well say 100% sure he will not complete the whole term. At some point, they're either going to invoke the 25th Amendment or he's going to die. One of the two. Or he's going to step down on his own, which I don't think he'll do. He's too arrogant to do that. But I think that's what's going to happen. Did your screen freeze? Oh, okay. I see your eyes blinking.
No.
I thought the screen had froze. And you didn't say it to the stuff I said. You didn't say anything. That's why I was like, hold on, did the screen freeze? But yeah,
are you in some alternate reality? Wait, hold on. I can't say nothing. No. You ain't even had a pause. What the fuck you want me to say?
I did have a pause.
No, you didn't.
Hey, you can interrupt me. My feelings will not be hurt.
I like to have some
you interrupt me.
Besides my frequent profanity, I like to have some sense of decorum on this show.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, you know what? The floor is yours, sir. The virtual floor is yours.
Let me say this. Something happened last week that did not get a big wave. Biden had over 39 African-American judges appointed, lifetime appointments. Not last Thursday, but the Friday before last. Dr. Lively is doing you like the cold weather. At least I'm not the only one that sees it. You know, he wouldn't believe it. I told him. So I'm glad you told him.
Mary, that's wrong, man. That's wrong. I'm not freezing him out. But go ahead.
So you just had 39 African-American judges appointed to lifetime appointments. The 2 things. Merrick Garland, I agree with you. I would not appoint Merrick Garland to a judgeship. I think Merrick Garland has shown that he is not a strong person. I don't know what his motivation was. Maybe it was judgeships, and then get another judgeship. I wouldn't have reappointed him. 39, yeah, Brian, 39 Black women. I think that
Brian, you up for federal judgeship?
I think that
what you laughing about?
I think that
you know how proud I would be if a Glenn Hill Spartan got to the Supreme Court. Man, talking about a party, we'd have a serious party. Ain't that right, Brian? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's cold. It's mighty cold in here. Whew. That freezing.
It's ice cold. It's ice cold. It's ice cold.
So I think that when you say symbolism right now, I believe that Biden, this is where I hate Biden. This is where I just don't like Biden. This is where I think he shows his weakness. He is the president up until January 19th. I think Biden has the authority to say every last one of these nominees will go through a background check by the FBI, period. Whether they do it or not, every last one of these nominees will go through a background check on the president of the United States. Until then, Brian said, nope. Until he is not the president, he needs to act like the president. I do not understand. I don't understand what he is.
Hold on. Okay, in reference to that, the background, even with the background check, that can't disqualify them from holding a position. Because think about this.
It can if you can't.
Jared Kushner went through a background check, and they told him he couldn't. He didn't qualify for top secret clearance. So he got appointed to the White House, period, and was in on some serious strategy session.
Okay, so look, Marion wants to discuss this, so we're gonna you're not gonna let me discuss shit, so we're gonna discuss what Marion discussed. Black folks could give a rat's ass about federal women being appointed. They showed about a number who have not voted. Woo! You still on fire about this, boy. Marion's been on fire about this since the election. They showed about a number who voted, not the percentage. I agree. Less than right around a little over 52% of the 34 million registered African American voters voted. Okay, that's where we are right now.
And see, number. And that, remember I told you, everybody kept talking about 90% of 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris and 80-something% vote. And I said they keep talking about percentages, but they ain't talking about the actual number of people that voted. So we got 52% of the African American black registered voters voted, and 90% of 52% ain't that much.
Nah, yeah,
let's keep it real.
Yeah, that meant that like 17.
Let's keep it real.
That meant like 17, somewhere between 16 and 17 million African Americans voted. That left 17 million who were registered that did not vote.
Right.
And,
right.
Okay. You know what?
That right there.
Wait. Okay. No problem. Wait. So let's change the whole conversation. Let's deal with that. Let's deal with that. Let's not deal with any. Let's not deal with the nominees. Let's deal with that, because Roland Martin has been saying this for a while, and I've been saying this for a while. No matter if you get every African American voter to vote, we always have to vote somewhere around 85-90%. So what do we do to do that? Is there anything we can do? Because Brian and I have been having this running conversation for the last 4 months. You can't even get educated black men to have this conversation about what we're gonna do.
What do you mean? What are we gonna do? Like, what's the next step?
Yeah. How can we convince those people in our community that it is imperative that they vote? Where did we go wrong? We are now senior citizens.
Give them something free.
Kind of way, huh? What?
That's like give them something free. I don't know the answer, man. I can't figure it out. I really and truly, and we were talking about this before the election, that we need to, because something people keep telling me that pisses me off. We don't have the numbers to affect an election. Now, you never said that, but other people have said we don't have the numbers. But if he lost the election, if he lost the election, she lost the election. I don't know what the final count is.
She's right. Okay, no, wait here. Wait, I'll give it to you. It's right now. It's at 49.5%.
No, not the percentage. I'm talking about the actual numbers. What's the actual number?
He's not even there. He's not even in majority. She's at. That's what I'm saying. I can't give you the actual number. I can say she's at like 48.9. He's at 49.5. Not that big difference.
So let's say he won the popular vote by about
1%.
3 million. Yeah, let's say 3 million. 3 million.
Okay.
And we got roughly, if 52% of us voted, we got 52% of 34 million. 17 million. That's about 18 million.
Yeah.
Somewhere around 18 million.
Yeah.
So we left 16 million votes. Left 16 million votes out there. 16 million. Yeah. And she lost by 3 million. And you mean to tell me that we couldn't have changed this election?
Just us,
if we
right.
just had just 3.5 million people vote. 3.5 million, she would have won. You mean to tell me, or at least won the popular vote, you mean to tell me that we can't affect the election? That's the bullshit that pisses me off. That's the bullshit, because you got these ignorant ass black people who keep talking shit. Okay, 75 to 71. So
we still
right.
within
that's still within the margin. That's still within the margin.
We still within it.
So you mean to tell me that if we couldn't get okay, we left 16 million on the table, roughly 16 million. We couldn't get 4 million more votes to change this election. 4 million more votes.
Ken,
that's the bullshit that keeps black people from voting. Everybody keeps telling us our vote don't count, and that's the bullshit that we keep falling for. We keep falling for that bullshit. I don't understand it.
Here's what I would say to you.
You got 16 million people, 15 million people that did not vote, black people that did not vote, and you mean to tell me that, and she lost by 4 million, and that time about it wouldn't have made a difference if we vote. That's the bullshit that these talking heads keep telling us. And we keep falling there for that shit.
Wait. Here's the kicker. Here's what I will say to you. Here's where my disappointment has been coming in. And it's a visceral disappointment. And here's the conversation Brian and I keep having. When I go on social media, which is a huge part of how people get that information, so many people like us are not even talking about any of this. It's not a priority. Like, it's literally not a priority. We will talk about everything but that. But let me go on a page of Sports Speak. People talking about sports. Conversations out the roof. But this right here that affects the day-to-day of all of us, I agree with you. It is the most frustrating thing to watch people who you think, why in the grand scheme of things, how about that? Why are we the only ones talking about this? Like, I don't want to hear about your fucking Thanksgiving dinner. When January 20th is rolling around, I do not get this stick your head in the sand thing. And this is before that too.
Well, you know,
go ahead.
Well, see, one of the things that I've heard people say, well, we gonna be all right. We gonna, no matter who's in office, we still ain't gonna get what we want. Blah 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 blah. My whole thinking is this, and it's something I tell my students all the time. You don't have to go through the hard shit all the time.
All the time.
You don't have to struggle all the damn time.
All the time.
If you do what you're supposed to do in the front end, you won't have to worry about it on the back end.
Can I give you? But
you got these ignorant ass damn people who read a chapter in one damn book, think they know every goddamn thing about every damn thing, and they about here telling the rest of us, "Oh, I got the electoral college voter." Motherfucker, you don't know shit about the fucking electoral college.
But Kenneth, how about this?
I'm sitting there. I'm telling you, man. Listen, I'm telling you. Now, see, you done started some shit today. I want
to give you an example. Wait. Before you go on, I want to give you an example. I want to give you a real world example that Brian and I talked about. And Brian scared me with this, and I don't get scared too much about stuff. Brian, we talked about police immunity. And Brian says, let me give you a real world example of police immunity. Just something on an everyday level. And I was like, what? He said, you get pulled over. Regular person, you get pulled over. You get pulled over for, let's say, you had a rolling stop. Something simple, right? And he says, and the officer's having a bad day. Not his fault having a bad day. And he comes up and he says, let me see your license, your registration. And you say, officer, what are you pulling me over here for? And he perceives, or he's in a bad mood, and he said, I asked you for your license and your registration. And he said, he then can charge you with obstruction. He said he can charge you with obstruction. He said it will not stick. He said, but guess what? Obstruction is an arrestable offense.
And yes, eventually you may get cleared of it. But that's after he's taking you to jail, after you've been transferred, let's say to Rice Street, you've been in jail for 3 days, you may lose your job. You may lose your job over a bullshit.
Right. See, I don't know what happened.
Bullshit.
Either you freezing or my thing freezing.
Huh? But yeah, no, you I can see you moving now. Over bullshit, but guess what? He has complete immunity. That's every day, like you said. Why would you want to go through the hard shit? Now you're freezing. Why would you keep wanting to go through the hard shit? And what is this thing about? What is this? Go ahead. I'm sorry. And I just want to give you that real life example. Not some the cop shot a black man like everybody thinks immunity is. That does not happen every day. But getting pulled over does happen every day. Every day.
And violating your rights.
Every day.
Violating your rights.
I had a police officer on Northside Drive, Kenan, drive by me in my truck and turned around, pulled me over at the bakery. And I was like, damn, why are you pulling me over? And you know what he told me? He asked about license registration. He said, Mr. Watkins, I was driving down the street and I saw you didn't have your seatbelt on. You know what I said? From way over there, you turned around to pull me over because I didn't have my seatbelt on. He's like, well, the law says you have to have your seatbelt on. I said, sir, I know what the law says. I'm not denying the law says that. I'm just questioning you going down the street, pull me over. I wasn't speeding to cite me for a seatbelt. That's all I'm questioning for. That's all I'm asking. Everyday stuff.
He's trying to save your life.
That's scary.
But it's the whole
wait,
thing.
Look what Brian says. Officer says you got 10 seconds to produce your license, and you take 30 seconds to produce it. That's gonna be a misdemeanor obstruction. And that's the shit that our people don't get.
Yeah, obstruction.
That's the shit. That's the shit.
They think that this stuff doesn't affect their everyday life. And as we, this is FAAFO. We done fucked around. Now we about to find out. Let's be real. That's where we at right now. And the thing is, the fact that he's coming in, he could do damage to this country that could take generations to overcome. Like I'm gonna tell you something that last night. I was thinking about this all last night, and it's so pissed me off. So I was at my cousin is one of the coaches for Stevenson High School, and they played in the state playoffs last night. They played at Hartford Stadium. Hartford Stadium on Memorial Drive.
Right.
So me and a couple of, yeah. So me and 3 of my other game. So the whole game, the refs was making some horrible calls. I mean, horrible calls. Which was kind of sort of giving the other team, I think it was Bullitt County, I think that's what it was, giving them an advantage. But they were never able to do anything with it. They scored 3 points, and Stevenson won like 38-3. The second half, they just blew it wide open. Just blew it, scoring wide open because it was 7-3 at halftime. Anyway, my cousin called and said, hey, why don't y'all come over there where the buses are? I just want to see y'all. Because he was happy that we came to support him. So we walked over there. And as I'm walking over there, the Stevenson students are walking toward their bus. Some of them got into it with the Bullitt County crowd, mostly white people. I don't know what was said, but the students bragging, talking shit like football players do. As I'm walking up toward them, this white kid said, they act just like their parents. And I'm sitting there like, I turned around and looked at like, motherfucker, what did you say? Like, what the hell? You got kids out here bragging. That's just one. And I'm saying to myself, the refs cheated the whole game against them, and they overcame that and won the game. I mean, when I said they made some phantom calls, they made some serious phantom calls. Stuff I ain't never seen before. Just to give the other team an advantage, and it still didn't work. I said, and these kids out here celebrating, and you talking shit about their parents? What the parent? I said, first of all, we got to think these are teenagers. These are teenagers. They gonna talk shit. They gonna brag, they gonna talk shit. But what their parents got to do with anything? And he didn't think I heard his ass. I looked at him and he got scared. And I started thinking, I was like, one, he don't know he's in DeKalb County. Two, he don't know who's walking past him. And three, these Trump supporters, these white supremacists, they thinking they gonna get away with the stuff that they used to get away with. Now, you might be able to get away with stuff of that public policy stuff. You might be able to get away with that. But your personal stuff, that's not gonna happen no more. And I mean, I was so pissed off when I heard him say that. You should have seen the look I gave him. And he put his head down, like, yeah, motherfucker, you fucking up right now. These just teenagers having fun. Ain't nothing personal. They ain't do no dirty hits on these kids. Them other kids, they ain't do nothing. They were just out there. Matter of fact, the refs pulled both teams aside and said, hey, y'all chill out with all this stuff. Because most of the penalties were called against Stevenson. And they were bullshit penalties anyway. But they called them to, hey, y'all chill out. Let's just play the game. That's all. That's what the refs did. Ain't nobody, really and truly, nobody did nothing dirty. They was just getting chippy. But for him to say something like that.
It's the state playoffs.
Right.
The state playoffs always
just win or go home. It's win or go home. That's all it is.
It's the best against the best. It's always chippy.
Right. And so I'm thinking, like, why is he even saying this stuff?
They just want us to shut the fuck up.
That's what it is. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, he felt emboldened enough to say something like that in DeKalb County, but he didn't know a black man was walking past him. And then when I turned and looked at him, he put his head down. No, don't sit here and talk about these kids' parents. These kids' parents ain't do nothing to you. These kids ain't never do nothing to you. These kids were just playing football. And I said, I guarantee you, some people from your side went over and confronted them kids because they had no reason to be over there. Their team wasn't even over there. These were Stevenson kids walking to their bus, just talking shit. They didn't know who y'all were, didn't care who y'all were. And I guarantee you, one of y'all confronted them and they said something back. But they feel so emboldened. These supremacists feel so emboldened now. They really and truly think, as you know, there's those T-shirts that everybody said, yeah, we ain't our ancestors.
Hey,
we ain't gonna sit back and take all that.
Okay, look, let's number one, let's stop telling people that our ancestors had way more grit and will than any of us ever could. So please.
Oh yeah, I know they did.
Let's throw that saying out. I cannot stand that. Our ancestors would never not come out and vote. Them people came out of Reconstruction would have let nothing stop them from coming to vote. Not this petty ass shit.
I agree.
So when I hear people, younger people say that right now, I go, you damn right you ain't. You know, I think we come back to the conversation, which is crazy because we sit here and say we don't know what to do. You and I both headed are over 50. I'm headed to 60. And we don't know what it's going to take. And I had this conversation with Mary, and I called him.
Knocking on the door, that damn number.
Yeah, I sure am, boy. Shit, I'm leaning into it. And 65% of blacks were registered in 1972. Only 52% voted. Only 52% voted. U.S. Bureau of Census. And I don't
see that 65% was of a lower number at that point. That was a lower number of black people. We didn't have, what did you say, 34 million black people living in this country? We didn't have that many.
No, 34 million registered.
Nowhere near 34 million.
Yeah, 34 million registered.
I thought the total number of black people was 34 million.
42 million. We're at 42 million.
It's got to be more than that. It's got to be more than that. It's 34.
We're
We're talking about, okay, you're trying to say that we have more people over 18 than under? I guess we will. That would make more sense. We only got 8 million people that are under 18.
I literally sat there and watched Roland Martin break the numbers down, and I trust Roland on the numbers. I trust Roland explicitly on the numbers. I trust Roland.
Well, he is an alpha, so you should.
Yeah. Well, shoot, whatever. He got Roland. You can't touch Roland when it comes to talking about the data and the numbers of Black folks.
But
but if we can't get our peer group to understand that we got to coalesce around as a group, we can't. You and I can't get our peer group. We go out right now and don't want to talk about it, which is why I haven't been out. I literally cannot go out and act like this is not happening. So when folks say,
"Well, I mean, it's
I just can't do
it." The part of the problem is people don't. Well, I mean, I just said that they don't think it's going to affect them.
People like us.
They always, and I always say, and I've been saying this for years. I said when Republicans are in office, things go bad for Black people. Unemployment shoots up every single time. And every single time, unemployment goes up.
And what are they saying specifically that they're going to do? Every nominee to every department is specifically saying, "I'm going after DEI," which means that they're specifically going after Black folks in the government. They will be the first ones to get their jobs cut.
And the thing is this: who determines what's DEI? Somebody's a quote unquote DEI or affirmative action hire. Who's the one that determines that?
The person.
That's the interesting thing.
The person at the top.
So I that's why I say I don't understand their motivation for doing things, because I for years Republicans have been talking about, which is
Marion. What's the motivation, Marion? Marion,
they've been talking about making government smaller for years and years. And what's the first thing that Trump does? Create a whole new agency, unofficial agency.
He got to create a whole new agency to find all the Black folk.
What's his name? Them two races go. They got to have a staff. They ain't gonna be able to do this on their own. They got to hire a staff. So they're gonna fire. Everybody that they fire from Department of Education, they're gonna come work for the Department of Dumbass now. Because I don't know, was it Doji, or let's just call it the Department of Dumbass.
Government Efficiency, Dodge.
Yeah,
named after his cryptocurrency.
Department of Dumbasses. That's what it is. Dumbasses. That's all it is. Period. Am I saying what? What am I saying?
Are you saying that there's no way for us to? Man, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm thoroughly disappointed. I'm just so viscerally disappointed that a friend of mine called me from Philly, who's very active in Philly, who told me after the election, man, the Black vote in Philly was down. He said that's why we lost. He knows somebody in Michigan that the Black vote was
down. In every city
was down. And the fact, I agree with Brian, the fact is so frustrating. The fact that I'm all over the place because I don't know what to do. The fact that I've had this conversation with me and Brian have had disagreements over this. They have shown that lying and disinformation, that's Republicans' motivation. And it works too. Lying and disinformation. And so the question is, do we need to do the same? Do you fight fire with fire? And do you, because they have a zero-sum game.
Problem with it.
That's the win. The zero-sum game is the win. And Kenneth, I want to touch on this. I want to hear your opinion.
You freezing up. Screen froze. See, as soon as we get into something good, they send a gremlin to mess up our podcast. Every time we get into a real good discussion, something like this happens. Oh, let me send you a text message. I don't know if you can hear me.
Like David.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead. I think StreamYard has a lot of over a larger amount of users than they normally have. I think that's what's going on.
Okay. So say whatever you said, say it again, because you froze.
Man, honestly, I'm so all over the place today because I'm so disappointed. I just don't know. As Brian said to me the other day in one of our, our little heated exchanges, as I told him, Brian, I can do what I can do. And I don't know if going forward in my life, I can just sit down and have conversations with people who have not taken any type of direct action to change what seems to be what you just said, fuck around and find out moment. I just, it's hard for me to do with where I am in my life right now. It's hard for me to have these conversations with people who I love, and I know you didn't do shit because I got 2 granddaughters. And it's like, and it's what you said earlier. What you said earlier, it really hits home. This can possibly take generations to fix.
Yeah.
And the fact that you didn't get involved for whatever your fucking reasons were. And the way I see it, blacks, I'm like Kenneth. I'm like Kenneth. Oh, you're being a troll right now. I was about to respond, Marion, but I realized what you're doing right now. The fact that, as Brian would say, I have to give you a reason to be motivated. And this is not just uneducated black folks, quote unquote. These were educated black folks that just refuse to get involved as if they are protected. I want them to feel the pain like everybody else. I do. I'm not going to lie. All these state reps and state senators didn't get out. Fuck them. I think they all should be primary. I hope somebody sees it. All of them. Every last fucking one of them. All of them.
They like
Lucy Macbeth did not come to that Cobb County Kamala Harris office until 3 days before the election. 3 days before the election. She came once.
And she got reelected.
What the fuck is she doing? Nikema Williams, what are you doing? I think they all should be primary. I don't think her husband should be in charge of the Democratic Party.
Nikema Williams, wasn't she the state Democratic leader or something like that?
The state Democratic chair. They're trying to get her sit down, and her husband runs the other organization. Get rid of them all. If y'all couldn't get down and get those rural blacks to come out and vote in Georgia, the same with North Carolina. North Carolina, they lost because rural blacks in Western North Carolina didn't come out to vote like they came out last time. Get rid of all of them. Get rid of the whole apparatus. I don't know what we do about Louisiana. I don't know what we do about Mississippi. They are so beat down that they just don't care anymore. They like the way they're living. What other assumption can I have but that they like it, that they don't mind it, or they've adapted to it? That Gary Chambers is out on TikTok and Instagram every day begging those folks. They just had a mayor's race of a black female mayor in Baton Rouge that saved Baton Rouge. And he was sitting there saying, y'all won't even come out and vote. And the guy that she's running against is racist. And y'all won't come out and vote for your own interests?
I mean, I don't.
No, she not, Marion. Ain't no way.
Any of that.
Wait, is she thinking about running for governor?
No, that ain't gonna happen. No.
I'm not gonna be behind that idea. I'm gonna find the closest white man that's on that edge of racism, that's gonna look out for my interests to the best of my ability, and I'm gonna say what the fuck you gotta say about black people to get in office. As long as you get in office, you try to look out for our best interests. I'm going the Nucky Thompson Boardwalk Empire route on this one. Never again will I be fooled. Never again. Obama was an outlier. Never again will I be fooled.
Rahm Emanuel, huh? You heard that name in a long time. So after they ran him out of Chicago.
If Rahm's gonna get it, if Rahm's gonna be willing to get in there and say, hey, look, I don't think they can be elected because they're black, and be honest about it, I might not have a problem.
It 1217 edition. You do realize it ain't, so it's a future edition. You see what he said, right?
So I don't know where y'all stand, but I won't be fooled again.
I really truly believe. And you know, and I that part right there, that's not. I can't figure out what it's going to take for people in Mississippi and Louisiana to vote, and Florida, South Georgia, black people. I can't figure it out. I don't understand it. There's something, and you can't blame it on being beat down. At some point, you got to stand up. At some point,
like your ancestors.
What it's going to take to motivate people? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to take to motivate people. I really don't know. Because it seems as if they don't think that water is wet. They don't think that water is wet.
Cue up the who. We won't get. You won't fool me again. I would much have rather. I've been thinking about this for a while. I would much have rather them say when he dropped out. I would much have rather them say, "Hey, look," and been honest. We don't know if it's enough white people that's going to vote for her because she's black. I would much have rather them say that. Yeah. You know, it's nothing. Yeah, true. Everybody has their own pain threshold, but goddamn, like Kenneth said, why we want to go through hard times? I mean, haven't we paid enough for that? Hey, John, you know how I feel about this. I don't think that as a school we did enough. I don't think as an alumni we did enough. As I think the way we again parade this famous alumni of ours that generates all this money for our school, not enough people, and that man gave his life for. I'm just ashamed. Gave his life for what we seem to be going back to, which is possible. I don't know if they're gonna go all the way back, but they damn sure gonna try to suppress the right to vote in the South. That is no doubt in my mind. Is there any doubt in your mind?
Once they did they start gutting the voting rights bill,
right?
The pre-clearance portion of the voting rights bill back in, I think it was 2013.
Once
they did that, that was it.
Yeah, and we didn't as a community in the South. And the truth of the matter is, it's the same old Southern strategy. If you can negate the African American vote in the South, you will win every election. If you can negate vote.
Go back to what Brian said earlier, that motivation, the Republicans' motivation is always villains. Villains. Black people are the go-to when it comes to villains. We're always the go-to. We're the go-to. No matter what's going on, we're the go-to. Whenever they want to change things up, they blame black people for it.
Hey man, this is gonna sound so radical. This is gonna sound so radical what I'm about to say, and I know how radical it sounds. If fear is what is gonna motivate brothers and sisters to get their ass up and vote,
no, it ain't. It ain't.
Man, please.
It
ain't.
People have been sounding the alarm about Trump getting reelected for years.
Maybe Larry Hoover,
3.5 years, man.
Maybe like one of my guys from Chicago said on my truck one day. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe they ought to let Larry Hoover out so Larry Hoover can go into every city and say, for all of y'all fools that don't vote, it's going to be somebody at your house. I don't know. That's what one of my guys told me. One of my young guys from Chicago told me that. Because what we're doing is not working. Love is not working.
Love ain't working. Fear ain't working.
Love is. We ain't
only motivation. You may listen. Maybe if they had given them Biden had given them a one-time check of $1,200, then they'd been like, okay, oh shoot, Biden administration, oh, they giving out checks. But you know, it's funny. I was talking to somebody. I don't know if I said it on here. When they said people talking about Biden, Trump giving out the stimmy, and I said, hold on, Biden administration gave y'all $500 a month for 6 months, and then I thought about it after I said it, and I said, oh, you know what? These dudes don't know about that shit because they ain't with their baby mama. Baby mama got the money. They ain't getting nothing. They ain't know nothing about it because baby mama was getting that $500 a month for every child.
He said that ain't happening. And Hoover ain't the only one.
So she got 3-4 children.
Well, John, give me another one. Put up a candidate. Just anything, so we don't have to keep doing this. I am just that desperate. Anything to get these bourgeois Negroes and not non-bourgeois Negroes to know that they have to get to the polls and tell them who to vote for, so that we are not pushed into the abyss. We got 2 years. Marion keeps saying this. Marion keeps saying, Leonard, you got 30 months. Kenneth, you have said this. You got 30 months. And what he means by that is that for the next 2 years, you're still going to have the Biden policies, right? And at the end of that 30th month, all hell's going to break loose.
Economy, yeah.
So
the Biden economy, that's what's going to happen.
I don't know what you got to do in the old Fourth Ward in Louisiana and Baton Rouge. We've tried everything. I've asked one of my guys on the truck. Oh, I didn't tell you that story, Kenneth. I asked one of my guys on my truck, give me the messenger who you all would have listened to. He's 28. Because he was on the truck, Kenneth, this is what he said to me. Man, I was pissed off that she had Meg Thee Stallion up there twerking. I said, okay, then who would you prefer to give you the message? She was just trying to get a message out. Who would you listen to? We went down 10 names. And he said, no, we wouldn't listen to him. No, we wouldn't listen to him. I say, any sports stars? LeBron James? No, we're not going to listen to LeBron James. Okay, Lil Baby, 21 Savage. I'm just throwing names out. No, we wouldn't listen to him. At the end, he says to me, I don't know who we would have listened to. But he was sure that Trump gave him a $1,200 stimulus check. That's what he told me. Him and his friends.
Yeah. The truth doesn't matter. The truth does not matter.
$325 billion has been set aside by Warren Buffett for the coming hard times. Google it. I'm not in Warren Buffett's orbit. I've said for a long time, and I really believe this, that Black folks, Ken, if you disagree with this, you and I fundamentally disagree with this. I said many times that Black folks need to welcome and encourage Black billionaires, and the ones that we have, we need to support them to make sure they stay billionaires. And I said you need to make sure they stay billionaires because they are in those rooms. And without billionaires, you can't have somebody that could come in and drop a large sum of cash on a problem like the white community has. And I still believe that you have to have really, really, Trump just gave back part of your taxes. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, because the tax cuts were set to expire. What? Didn't you tell me that, Kenneth? The tax cuts were set to expire in 2025. He's just going to extend them. He's just going to extend them by executive order.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How do we get people? How do we motivate people? Are you saying we can't? Maybe the fear of lynching or whipping a Black person may scare Blacks enough to vote. Ooh, shit. Ouch.
Well, there ain't no election for another 2 years, so for another 2 years. So we got 2 years to figure this shit out. We have 2 years to figure it out. It's not figure out what the strategy is going to be. And I'm with you, Leonard. I'm not above lying. I'm not above it at all. We need to start playing chess and stop playing checkers. Hell, at this point, we ain't even playing checkers. We playing marbles. That's what we playing. We playing marbles. They playing chess and we playing marbles. So I am not above lying. Let's use AI generated stuff to create some shit that's gonna make them look so damn bad that by the time these people come up for re-election, their own mama wouldn't vote for them. I am not above that in the least bit, or below that, whatever.
So, Kenneth, as a teacher, John just said political education. Brian said this to me about 4 days ago. Brian said, you need to start showing kids in African American communities. No, we are playing what? We are playing sorry. What do you mean?
That's the game. The game sorry.
Oh,
the board game sorry.
Okay. If you're not gonna have we're going back to this word again, the talented temp teaching, what are we gonna do? What are we going to do? I refuse to just sit back and just take it. I can't do it.
Let's say this. We since it's going to take a generation for us when his policy start coming out, it's going to take a generation for us to get out of it.
No, you didn't lie. Go ahead.
It's going to take, as we said, it's going to take a generation to get out of this stuff. What we need to start doing with our kids, our age, we have grandkids, or I don't have, but grandkids, kids, and all that. Start them young. Just start teaching them young the importance of voting. Something I said with my mom a few years ago. I think it was 2020 or maybe before that. I can't remember. But I told my mom, and I don't know if this is just a made up memory in my mind or if it actually happened. I don't know. But I always picture my grandmother getting dressed up to go vote. That's how important it was to her.
I don't think that's
whether or not that actually. So what?
I don't think that's made up. I think you saw that.
Right. It probably isn't. It probably isn't made up. But in my mind, I see that. So when my kids were very young, and I'm not exaggerating, when Shantae was 2 years old, and we were living in New York, I took Shantae, maybe not even 2. The first time we voted, I voted when she was alive, and I think she was about 2 years old, or maybe 1 and some change. I took her in the voting booth with me, and I told her, this is when they had in New York, they had the old levers and all that. I told her which lever to pull. Pull that one, pull that one, pull that one. Every time I went to vote, I took my children. If they were only one time as anybody ever said, your child can't touch the screen. Why the hell my child can't touch the screen? Why not? I'm trying to teach them importance of voting. When both of my children got of voting age, I made a big deal out of that. We sat down and we talked about who was running for each office in that area. My children know the importance of voting. They know the importance of doing their research on people who's running for office. They understand that because they've seen it their whole lives. That's what we need to do. Now, voter education or political education in schools, I taught government. That helps. But it makes it a whole lot easier if their child already knows something about the government before they get to high school. Because I ain't trying to brag, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm a special kind of teacher when it comes to stuff like that. I tell my kids in the heart, I don't sugarcoat nothing. I'm going to tell you the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me, God. I'm telling you the truth. This is how the real world works. This is what the Constitution says. This is reality. I'm going to teach you both of them because I want you to understand the power that you have.
Kenneth,
and how easily that power can be taken away.
How do we, you, John, and Marion, how do we, please
hold on. Before you say,
go ahead.
Booker T's 90%. That myth that Booker T, the Booker T Washington, did not value education. That's a serious myth. That's a serious myth. He did.
Do you think that's Marion of all people knows that? I've been having this conversation with this argument about people a couple of times over the last couple of months. Man, look, let's have an honest conversation. Booker T might have been right. Booker T said, "Cast your buckets down where you are, and become the best at whatever it is that you decide to become." And Booker T built a school, and I keep telling people this: built a school in that area, and in the South. The people that came out of that school were known as the best brick makers, because they built the school themselves, the best carpenters, the best bricklayers, the best farmers, because they had George Washington Carver, and their reputation preceded them all over the South because they were good at what they did. They were good at what they did. Learned you're at least a third generation college graduate. I am a third generation. My mom, my great grandfather, yes. On my mom's side, my great grandfather on my mom's side, yes, his daughters, but they went down. And then my mom, and then my family. Yes, that's so true.
Fourth generation, at least fourth generation.
That's true.
Educated,
but I'm very, very aware that the family I came from was very, 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 very fortunate in who my grandfather was.
And rare.
Yeah, and that's Go ahead.
The argument that Booker T was making about, as you said, cast your buckets down where you are and all of that. The argument that he was making was he wasn't disputing what the boys were saying.
Right.
Yeah, he wasn't disputing that. He basically said we need both, and we do. We need, as I tell my students all the time, you don't have to go to college in order to be successful. Because I told him, I said, the guy who fixed the HVAC in my house, we paid him $4,000 to fix that HVAC system. And he was doing 4 of them at the same time. That's $16,000 he made in one day. $16,000. And this is summertime. So he got jobs going on every day. At least 2 or 3 every single day. He had jobs going on. And they all making that kind of money. They're making that, he's making that kind of money. So we have this perception that success comes only from a college education or being educated. I got a friend who I went to college with, one of my boys, good boys. We've literally known each other for 40 years. He never graduated from college. He works for Chrysler in Detroit. He makes about $100,000 a year. Never got a degree. He was there for 2 years. Ain't got no degree and making about $100,000 a year. So you don't make that. Booker T was right. He was right. We need it. The fact that people want to pit the two of them against each other doesn't make sense to me, because that tells me that you don't understand where he was coming from. Now the boys was on some. I love the boys, but he was on some bougie shit. Let's be real. He was on some, because he didn't come from. I can't say he didn't come from humble beginnings, but he came from an area in Massachusetts, and he was treated special his entire life. Growing up where he did, end up going to Harvard, blah blah blah. All this, we know his story. He came from a different place than Booker T. Washington did, because Booker T's story started off. I'm not gonna say a plantation, because I think By the time he was born, slavery was over.
Booker T walked to Hampton over 3 days.
Yeah, he walked to Hampton.
Over 3 days. No, they got
walked to Hampton. That's how he ended up at Hampton.
Right, he walked.
And he became a dynamic student to the point where when Lewis Adams and other people in Tuskegee were trying to come up with a university, they wanted somebody to lead a college that they were creating, a school that they were creating down there. They contacted, I think it was General Armstrong. I think his name was Armstrong, who was the president of Hampton at that time. And the first person that came to his mind, Booker T. Washington. He sent Booker T. down there to Tuskegee. That's how that story came. So his beginnings were totally different from Du Bois. So Du Bois came from one point of view where education, I don't want to say formal education.
No, you're right, because it says
a formal education, a classical education. That's one thing. A classic education was valued. Where Booker T came from, no, we got to be practical because we got to make money. We're behind the 8 ball. If we don't start making money, we're going to still be behind the 8 ball. But we need both. We will always need both. We need doctors, engineers, teachers, just as well as we need people. And I even say this. I remember this. It was so funny. When I was in New York, they had a job for people who didn't really have an education. A prime job in New York City was working in sanitation. At that time, this was 20-something years ago, starting salary for sanitation was $45,000. Shoot this thing. Yeah, about $45,000 starting out in sanitation. Being on the back of a truck picking up trash. $45,000. But you got dudes who want to sell drugs and making may make $10,000 in a year. And you got to stand out on the street corner in the cold and worry about getting shot or arrested and all that. But you won't get a job that's making $45,000 a year because somebody told you, that shit ain't cool. Really? And now them same dudes that was selling drugs in the 80s and 90s, in their 50s and 60s, ain't got shit. Or still working menial jobs. Working at McDonald's. Not that I got anything against anybody working at McDonald's, but that lifestyle that you had, the few dollars, if you had just follow, get a trade. We need trades, people. We do need them.
I want to say this to something because we're going to have to get out of here. Let me say this without a doubt, and nobody can prove this differently. As African Americans in the South go, so goes other African Americans in the country. You cannot escape that the largest population of African Americans are in the South. And Booker T understood that when you say, why did he come down to Tuskegee? Because they had to educate on a grand scale African Americans in the South, particularly in Alabama. Because Tuskegee was the first HBCU in Alabama. Am I right, Kenneth?
Yeah.
Yes. You cannot, if you can negate the African American South, you will win every national election. It's not, the blue wall does not go through Philadelphia, Wisconsin, and Michigan. It goes through the African American South. And if you, and no matter what you say, how you feel about Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, they had two different upbringings. And if we allow, without a fight, them to suppress, because that's what's coming next. I have no doubt in my mind that's what's coming next, is to suppress and make it so hard to vote for the majority. Not for people like me and Kenneth, because and you, Marion, and John, we're going to always find a way to vote because we have the resources. We have the resources to get the licenses. We have whatever it is they put up, we're going to have the resources and the will to do it. But that ain't good enough. So we can sit here and have these intellectual masturbation sessions all we want.
I'm glad my phrase is made into the lexicon of the world.
Yeah, I've been saying that for a while. Smart ass.
That's my phrase. I've been
you got
saying
it.
that
You can have it.
years.
No problem. No problem. Hey, whatever. You got it. I will start putting it in quotations and doing what we used doing.
As Kenny Lively said,
wait,
intellectual masturbation.
Yeah, what was it? in my clip? What not clip notes? What you know what I'm trying to say? We could sit here and have these conversations. As the African American South goes, so goes the country. It was proven in the last election, North Carolina was lost because rural blacks in the West did not vote. West of North Carolina did not come out and vote in the same numbers. The vote in Georgia was down.
Yeah, just going through Helene. So
yeah,
I can sort of give them a pass. I can sort of give them a pass. They had other things to worry about.
Next stop, African American Museum. Hey, we can sit here and play our part. If we do not, because I'm no longer interested in just having conversations about it. I just got to do what I can do in my small way, which is what I've already started doing in my neighborhood. If we don't go and decide we're going to take over our communities, we are just going, me and Marion had this conversation all the time. We are just going to be fucked. If we don't get the coalition of Albany, Georgia, to Atlanta, to DeKalb County, to Chicago, to Baton Rouge, to New Orleans, to Jackson, Mississippi, because we talked about it. What they're doing in Jackson, Mississippi is just mind-boggling. That they're doing, creating a super judicial district. Alabama Annie Roops are deep in the Tuskies. Didn't know that, Mary. Did not know that.
Who cares?
You're so stupid. I've been using that phrase since undergrad. I'm just sick of talk. I agree. So the question is, next time we come back next week, can y'all at least come up with some suggestion of what we can do? We got to start in small groups. We got to try something.
Oh, hold on. One other thing. Hold on. One other thing too.
Go ahead. You got the last word.
I always say this. Stop telling what our strategy is going to be.
Okay.
When we tell them what our strategy is, they come up with something to counteract it. Let our strategy. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but I think we should let our strategy just hit them over the forehead, hit them in the back of the head, and they don't see it coming. That's what I'm thinking.
Then you need to figure.
We got to figure out a way to do it. Maybe we should come up do like the Native Americans during World War II, where they came up with they use a Navajo phrases to pass secret messages, and the Germans couldn't figure it out. Maybe we should start doing that. Come up with our own phrases. Our own phrases, our own terminology, and then we just pass it along to each other, and then into the community and tell them, hey, we don't need to know about it. Nobody needs to know about what it means. If you ain't down, you don't need to know. If your black card has been revoked, you don't need to know. Let's keep it like that.
Okay, so you start in Augusta. I've already started in Atlanta. I've already said to people that
the revolution is coming.
I would. We're not trying to have no revolution, dude. We ain't nobody trying to have no. What we're trying to do is make it so that our lives in the United States of America are decent lives, good lives, and we need to figure out what we're willing to sacrifice to have that. Because we ain't going nowhere else, and we need to start saying that. We're not going anywhere else.
Definitely ain't.
We may have a ceiling, and Obama was an outlier. We may have a ceiling of how we can rise politically. But the truth of the matter is, doesn't mean that you can't rise economically as doctors, lawyers, consultants, whatever it is you can do. You don't have to have a cap on your income, and because you're not going anywhere else. You got the last word, so we can take us out.
All right, y'all. As usual, it's been a lively discussion, pun intended. It's cold here in Georgia today, but the sun is shining. So please get out, enjoy yourself, get your head together, because we got a fight coming up. Big long battle. So go out and get you some exercise. I'm about to go out walking this afternoon, see if I can do 5 miles with these disrespectful knees and this churlish hip. But I'm gonna do something because I'm trying to get ready for the battle. Let's say this. For those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. For those of you who don't, I celebrate it not because of the myth of the Indian, the Pilgrim, Indians saving the Pilgrims and all that. I celebrate it because I love family. I love being with my family. And to me, that's more important than anything. So you got your family around, hug them, love on them, do something, sit around. If you don't do nothing but sit around, look at football and talk shit this weekend, do that. But enjoy your family because we got work to do. And educate them at the same time. Hey, you can throw while you sitting around talking shit, you can educate them too. All right, so see y'all next week. Yeah. Next week, for those of you who didn't know, it's going to be a cold front is coming. It started a little earlier than it normally does, but it's coming. So it's going to be cold for the next week. For those of you who know, you know.
Hey, look,
06, baby.
My last thing to say is crawl. Whatever you're going to do, tell us what you did next week to crawl. I agree with John. Crawl, walk, then run. Crawl and tell us what you did. Talk to some friends. Please talk to your friends. Please get 3 people, 2 people to say, hey, man, we're going to move in this direction. We got people in Atlanta that want to move in this direction. Let's start moving in a certain direction. Let's just get some groups of people to talk about what we're going to do. I'm talking to somebody in Philly already. Chad, you know, Chad. I mean, John, you know Chad Womack. I'm talking to Chad already. Let's crawl. Let's start crawling again. Because they damn sure trying to knock it. We haven't been knocked off our feet. They damn sure trying. So y'all have a good weekend. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.